Good evening and welcome to the national news broadcast on ChannelEye. We are ready to bring you the top stories from home and around the world. I'm Natalia Veervardhana.
Hello there, good evening. I'm Niket Karunaratne. We'll start off with the headlines as usual.
A vaccination program for children between the ages of 12 and 15 years is to commence next Friday. School education is scheduled to return to normalcy from next Monday. The Colombo Stock Exchange records the highest performance in history in the opening week of 2022. Permanent government appointments to 51,000 graduates recruited for training. Another distorted strain of the coronavirus has been reported from France. The Commonwealth Baton conveying the message of Her Majesty the Queen will leave Sri Lanka to Bangladesh tomorrow.
On to those and other stories in detail. Minister Keheliya Rambukwalla says inoculating of children between the ages of 12 and 15 years with the COVID immunization vaccine will commence next Friday. Meanwhile, the Director General of Health Services said that the Education Ministry has been given the approval to restore educational activities in schools with effect from next Monday. Minister Keheliya Rambukwalla said that a decision has been taken to go to schools and inoculate children between the ages of 12 and 15 years according to the instructions of the President and the recommendations of the World Health Organization. He further said that they are hoping to commence the program to normalize activities in the country from next Monday. The measures would help to regain the academic activities to the usual status. The vaccine has already been delivered to many children between the ages of 15 and 19 years. The minister further said that all those who are connected to the education sector, from teachers to children, as well as employees engaged in services such as school bus and van drivers, have also been inoculated.
සේවයන් තියෙනවා බස් රුදුරන් වෑන් රියදුරන් ඒ සියලු දෙනාටමත් ඒ අවස්ථාවක් කරගන්නට පුළුවන් ඒ පාසල් භූමියේම සිට තුන්වෙනි මාත්‍රාව ලබා නැත්නම් එයාටත් ලබා ගන්නට හැකියාවක් දෙනවා.
Korean ambassador in Sri Lanka, Woon Jing-jeong, and Minister of Health Keheliya Rambukwalla were engaged in a discussion at the ministry today. The Korean envoy has stated on this occasion that Sri Lanka has been successful in controlling the spread of the COVID disease through a proper management process. The ambassador has also highly appreciated Sri Lanka's program to administer the vaccine to Korean nationals in Sri Lanka without any discrimination, pointing out that Sri Lanka's actions should set an example to other countries in the region as well.
Deputy Director General of Health Services Dr. Hemantha Herath says a risk prevails over a potential rapid spread of the Omicron variant in the country, as therefore he urged the public who are yet to be inoculated with a booster shot to receive their vaccines without a delay to avoid a potential spread of the variant.
We know that most of the time we get news and sometimes forecasts related to the Omicron variant, and people are talking about catastrophic increase of Omicron patients in the country, and this is not an impossible situation. However, everything depends on the behavior of our citizens of this country, whether it is Omicron or Delta or any other variant. This will be fast spreading only if people let it spread. That means if they don't adhere to the health guidelines and if they don't get their vaccination appropriately, there is a possibility of rise in cases in the coming days. But we know that if we can adhere to the health guidelines, this can be controlled and contained, for which we need to make sure that even though the country is open for social and economic activities, it is important to adhere to the health guideline to the letter and get your vaccination appropriately, so that whether it is Omicron or any other variant, we can control COVID. There are reports about some other type of variants detected in different parts of the country, and the experts of the health ministry are reviewing all these reports and other publications and other things, and they will provide the necessary recommendations to the ministry whether to act upon these reports or not. And at this moment, all these things are reviewed by such experts, and depending on their recommendations, we will take appropriate action. However, at this moment, there is basically nothing to be concerned because all these reports are still very fresh and we need to verify the facts and the other data related to it to come to a conclusion. We have observed that large proportion of people have been reluctant to get the third dose of vaccine, and this is also another area of concern as far as the health ministry is concerned. Even though the vaccine is freely available, even at this moment only 4 million persons out of approximately 11 million people who have got the second dose has got the third dose or the booster dose of the vaccine. So therefore, I would like to request everyone that getting the appropriate third dose of vaccine is the only way to get together with this adhering to the health guidelines to protect yourself from the infection. So therefore, please take this vaccine without any further delay.
The Colombo Stock Exchange has recorded an all-time high in trading at the opening week of the year 2022. The all-share price index has also surpassed 13,000 points for the first time in history. The Colombo Stock Exchange recorded 80.5% return last year. Indications have shown that the returns are expected to increase further at the beginning of this year. Stock market experts have pointed out that growing interest of the investors to involve in the stock market is the main cause for the positive outlook at present.
Today, the Colombo Stock Exchange was a hive of activity. For the first time on record, there were 86,321 transactions recorded, which is the highest ever. The all-share price index also breached the 13,000 mark, ending at 13,076. The S&P SL 20 index ended up at 4,480. And the market capitalization also significantly increased to 5.8 trillion. If you take the first 3 days of 2022, the market has been extremely active and showing growth in the indices. The all-share price index for the first 3 days had grown by 6.9%, and the S&P SL 20 has recorded a growth of 5.8% for the first 3 days only. The average turnover also had increased in comparison to last year. In the first 3 days, we had an average turnover of 12 billion on each day. So we have seen that the market has got off to a fairly good start in 2022.
Moving to more local stories. The Wise Women National Program was launched with the aim of empowering women to the full potential and obtaining their contribution to the economy. The ceremony was held under the patronage of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at the BMICH Colombo yesterday. The percentage of women in the country is 52%. However, a survey has revealed that the share of female labour in the total population is as low as 30%. The objective of the program is to provide skills development and vocational training for women and get their contribution to the national economy. The program is implemented by the State Ministry of Skills Development, Vocational Education, Research and Innovation. Professor Neelika Malavige, Dr. Asha Divos, Kasturi Wilson, Nipuni Karunaratna, Melanie Bagarachi, Pavitra Gunaratna, Rangana Veerawardena, Ayanti Gunasekara, Nilka Shiromala and Tilanka Abhivardhana were the women who contributed to the progress of the country by excelling in several fields. Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, State Ministers Vijit Berugoda, Piyal Nishanta and ambassadors, government officials and women who have excelled in various fields were also present. State Minister of Skills Development, Vocational Education, Research and Innovation, Seetha Ravipola stated that when women are empowered in our country, the country will not be second to any other country in the face of any challenge. She said that the country has a female workforce that is more valuable than gems unearthed and more valuable than oil reserves that may or may not be found. State Minister Ravipola said that when the capacities of women are identified and recognized, they have the strength to be resilient even during a time of a catastrophic pandemic.
The moment that we think about rebuilding our economy, women have a huge role to play. The report by McKinsey in 2018 says, purely by addressing gender inequality, Sri Lanka has the potential to add 20 billion USD to the GDP. I know this data point is before the pandemic, but the fact remains the same, and that is purely by supporting women and bringing more and more women to contribute to the economy, there is a huge untapped potential Sri Lanka has in rebuilding this economy.
The advice I would give for the younger generation and also the current generation is that don't give up. Believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, there is nothing that's going to stop you in what you do. Nobody else knows what you're capable of other than yourself.
I am urging all of us to give support to women to succeed, to be the mothers they will have to be, as well as bring out the best out of them. Private sector has to support, the ministry has to support to unleash their unique potential, government has to support, and together if we create an ecosystem with one goal, we can succeed. We believe in our country, we love our country, and we want the country to succeed. And today is a time we need women to come and become more productive and add value.
The Ministry of Public Administration has taken measures to grant appointments to 51,000 graduates recruited for training. The appointments have become effective with effect from the 3rd of this month. A media briefing to educate the relevant groups was held in Colombo today. Minister Janaka Bandara Tennakon said that this was the first occasion of recruiting graduates in a large scale. He added that all development officials receiving permanent appointments are entitled to a basic salary of 31,490 rupees with effect from January this year. He added that with the addition of allowances, they will receive a combined salary of 41,490 rupees. Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration, J.J. Ratnasiri, said that among the recruits, there were those who had received appointments of the 2nd September 2020. In addition, there were 7,000 graduates who were recruited in March. There is another batch of 800 graduates recruited in February. These groups will fulfill training in 3 years' time in 3 different occasions. Accordingly, the batch originally appointed have completed training on the 2nd of September. Minister Dallas Alha-Peruma has presided over a ceremony to hand over letters of appointments to graduates in the divisional secretariat divisions in Dikwal and Devinuwara. Minister Dallas Alha-Peruma said that they have been able to secure 3 victories amidst the pandemic condition. The first victory has been the vaccination program. At a time when developed countries are battling with the disease, Sri Lanka has been able to maintain its status as a healthy nation. The minister further said that the second successful condition deals with the country's ability to open the university and school education sectors, allowing the students to pursue academic activities.
The Ministry of Finance says that all arrangements have been made to provide the 5,000 rupee allowance to government servants with the January salary. The government spends a sum of 87 billion rupees in this regard. Allowance will be extended to all 1,450,450 state sector employees, including those who are employed in corporations, authorities and boards. The monthly allowance will be extended up to a period of 1 year from January to December. Accordingly, the overall allowance granted to a single employee at the year end will be 60,000 rupees. Negotiations are underway to extend the 5,000 rupee monthly allowance for private sectors as well. According to the cabinet paper presented by Minister Basil Rajapaksa, the Ministry of Labour has been empowered to take necessary measures over the extending of the allowance for the private sector. Accordingly, preliminary round discussions with the private sector employees are scheduled to take place on the 7th, 10th and 11th of this month. Monthly allowance of 5,000 rupees will also be extended for 666,480 state sector pensioners. The government has allocated 60 billion rupees for this initiative. Another 5,000 monthly allowance as a supplementary payment of 42,655 disabled soldiers will also be provided.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that they have been successful in fulfilling targets by overcoming challenges in the fields of housing and construction and also in urban development last year despite prevalence of the COVID pandemic. He has made these remarks on the occasion of the presentation of the action plan of the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing today. The work plan was introduced at the Ministry Auditorium in Suhurupaya, Battaramulla. The Prime Minister has further stated that they are ready to face impending challenges in the housing, construction and urban development field this year as well. Secretary to the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing, Sirinimal Pereira, has presented a report on the progress in the year 2021 and the action plan for this year. Thereafter, secretaries representing each of the state ministries have presented their work plans to the Prime Minister. State Ministers Dr. Nalaka Godaheva, Indika Anuruddha, Jeevan Thondaman, Mohan P. De Silva and Additional Secretary to the Ministry of Urban Development, MMSSB Yalagama, and Chairman and Director Generals of relevant institutions were also present at the meeting.
Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage says 4 loss-making institutions under the Ministry of Agriculture in the previous government have recorded profits amounting to 825 million rupees today. The minister has disclosed this fact at a ceremony held in connection with the 50th anniversary of the State Phosphate Company yesterday. Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage says there are 4 institutions that come under the purview of his ministry. They are the Phosphate Company, the Janata Estate Development Board, the NLDB and the Milko Institute. He added that these institutions were recording losses amounting to 3,825 million rupees at the time when he had commenced duties as minister on the 15th of November last year. He added that, however, these 4 institutions have now recorded a profit of 825 million rupees. Meanwhile, Minister Ramesh Patirana says that the plantation sector has reported a record revenue through exports last year. The Lanka Satusa Institute has also recorded an operational profit in the last quarter of last year. The sales revenue in the month of December alone was 4.8 billion rupees. Minister Bandula Gunawardena has made these observations at a media briefing held to enlighten on the progress made by the Lanka Satusa Institute in the previous year. And today is the third and the final day of the Sri Lankan League of Queen's Baton Rally on the 2022 Birmingham Commonwealth Games. The relay carrying the flaming torch reached Bogavantalawa in Central Province today. The Queen's Baton Relay leading up to the 2022 Birmingham Commonwealth Games was in Sri Lanka for 3 days during its international journey covering 72 countries. The Queen's Baton Relay began its journey from Kandy and reached the Kirkoswood Estate in Bogavantalawa this morning. In its journey back to Colombo, the flaming torch arrived at the Ceylon School of the Deaf and Blind at Ratmalana. Subsequently, the torch was officially received by the Ministry of Sports. It was handed over to Secretary to the Ministry of Sports, Anuradha Vijayakon. Then the flaming torch was paraded to the Independence Square by the athletes who have gained many international victories to the country. A ceremony with various cultural performances was held at the Independence Square premises. Following the event, the torch was handed over to Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at the Temple Trees. The Sri Lankan leg of the Queen's Baton Relay for the 2022 Birmingham Commonwealth Games came to a close today, and the torch will head to Bangladesh to continue its journey tomorrow.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has venerated to the sacred relics of the Sri Darada Maligava in Kandy and received blessings this morning. The President, upon arrival at the Maligava, was welcomed by the Diyavadana Nilame Nilangadala. The President was also accorded a warm reception by the people assembled at the Sri Darada Maligav premises. The President was seen engaging in a friendly discussion with the people. He has inquired on their well-being. Governor of the Central Province, Lalit Yugamage, State Minister Dilum Amanugama and Secretary to the Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Professor Kapila Gunawardena, were also present on this occasion.
And here are some more local news items in brief. Minister of Education Dinesh Gunawardena says syllabuses will be prepared enabling every student receiving university admission to study information technology. He has made these remarks on the occasion of laying foundation stone for the construction of a building in the technology stream studies at the boys' school in Malabar today. A sum of 88 million rupees has been set aside for the construction. Minister Vimal Veeravansa and parliamentarians Pradeep Uduguda and Jagat Kumar have also attended the event. Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka says that rumours being spread regarding Central Bank informing other banks to recover the amounts in the accounts of the customers are completely false. Governor of the Central Bank, Ajit Niwad Cabral, has disclosed this fact, issuing a Twitter message. Today marks completion of 55 years of the official establishment of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. A Pirit chanting ceremony in this connection was conducted at the corporation premises last night. It was conducted under the patronage of Chief Incumbent of the Valukaramaya Kollupitiya, Venerable Maharagamana Thero. Chairman of the SLBC, Hudson Samarasinghe, Director General Chandrapala Lienage, and the staff have also taken part in the meritorious event. Three persons who were engaged in dismantling parts of a motor vehicle without permission of the Commissioner of Motor Traffic have been arrested yesterday. It is believed that they were involved in a criminal act. The suspects were apprehended by the officials of the Special Task Force in Maradana. The suspects were residents in Colombo 10 and 12.
That's all the news for today. Join us again at the same time tomorrow. Good night.
Good night and stay safe.